Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Brigitte Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. Hey, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit down.
What?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit down. I've got Olympic withdrawal syndrome.
It's been too long. You gotta get back into Olympic viewing.
I mean, the fact that they're over and everything, I'm just like, I want more. I want more.
You gotta watch the replays.
I want more.
Let's go back on repeat. It's replay after replay after replay.
I will try. NBC just hasn't made it easy. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk bad of our media overlords. But the app, it's really funny. The moment the Olympics are over with, it just like switches back to like the normal app. And then you got to like hunt for stuff. It's really, really difficult. It's like, leave it up for like a month, like 1 month. Let's just leave it as Olympics. And they don't. They take it away immediately.
I was going to say, so there isn't like there's not like a big replay portal? Why wouldn't there be a big replay?
No, it's absolutely crazy. This happens every year. I think it's up for like an extra week and that's it. But like the NBC Sports app transitions into an Olympics app. But then the moment the Olympics are done, they just revert it back to the normal sports app.
Okay. Now that they're missing a market right there. They can sell a subscription to replays.
Totally. And then online, the Olympic website, I think stays up for a little bit, but then it kind of just fades away and disappears as well and stops working. It just takes you over to the NBC Sports section and everything. And then you got to like hunt for Olympic stuff through there, if it's even there anymore. It's the weirdest thing. I agree with you 100%. I don't know why you just can't just have it available.
No, the athletes probably have recordings. Like somebody's probably recorded it for them or downloaded a recording or done something, right? Probably, however.
I mean, you'd hope, right? You'd hope.
But you would think that they would forever want to be able to find that. And like, they work hard for that moment. Like,
I know. I mean, look,
in database of all previous Olympics.
Totally. I mean, with today's streaming services and like videos never disappearing, YouTube, like all of this, like they can host it somewhere.
Yep. Agreed.
I don't know why they don't. I really don't know why they don't. It's the weirdest thing. You can't find last year's Olympics, can't find any of it. And this year's is only going to be available for a short period afterwards. I mean, I'm just going to chalk it up to money and just be like, because NBC has like that long contract with the IOC on broadcasting rights in the US. That's why. But I've got withdrawal syndrome. I'm jonesing for some more. But I will say the Premier League is around the corner. And so I am,
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's the soccer league. It's British. It's the British soccer league, the Premier League. And so I am, I'm a soccer fiend. So that all kicks off, August 16th. So maybe this episode's out by the time, after it already started. So I'll be binging on that, but I'll have my sport fix one way or the other. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. That's it.
Nice.
That's how I feel.
Nice.
Anything on your end? Anything new?
It's funny. I feel like my brain was just thinking through like 8,000 different things at one time. Did you see like the formulation happening behind the scenes just then?
I did.
It was like
I did. I saw your eyes switching back and forth because it's the computer. We're in the Matrix. I saw your eyes switching back and forth while you were processing.
So actually, by the time this airs, we would have completed our Arizona trip. So while we're recording this, I leave tomorrow morning for our.
So here we go. Let's do a pre-trip post-take. Pre-trip post-take. How did it go? How was it? How was your trip?
I am very confident it's going to be great. Like I am positively optimistic about this. Yes.
So what you're saying is 3 days in a car, constantly driving. You're going to be like, that was the best trip ever. I saw a great slice of Americana and it was awesome.
Right. I'm going with that. I'm hyping myself up. I checked the forecast pretty much the whole way through. All of our stops are like 100 degrees. Arizona's going to be 110.
Ooh, fun.
Fun. Yep. So I'm in it. I'm committed. It's going to be, It's going to be really good.
Can't wait to hear real report is when you give that.
So this is funny because I have no idea if my in-laws listen to this. They probably do. So it's fine. So my husband actually called his brother yesterday, who happens to be in Florida enjoying Disney World, and may have said, curse you and curse your Disney trip. Like, we are now gearing up to do this and you guys are enjoying Florida. But I don't know that Florida in August is much more enjoyable. That's very humid.
Oh, it's just
and
hot, humid
awful.
and hot.
So,
Yeah.
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 We
Cool.
are taking our youngest, so we'll also see how the 8-year-old
Oh.
is going on the journey with us.
I remember being younger. I mean, I don't have kids, but I remember as a kid, some road trips were great. Some were just horrible. We had this one road trip we would do every summer, and it was to camp, and it was about a 4.5, 5-hour trip. And that's not even that long. Like today, man, 4 hours driving, done. That's a great road trip. Let's go. Like I'm in. Like I'm totally dialed in. I've got the playlist. I got the snacks. Let's go. I mean, back then I needed like a Game Boy. I needed what was it? License plate bingo. I needed books and coloring books and other things. And even still, I ended up fighting with my brother in some way where one of us would punch each other. You know, it was 500 pee breaks. You know, pit stops.
Yep. I think if we're gonna do a post interview, we probably should interview the 8-year-old and get his real take about how.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Let's do it. That'd be so fun. Let's see. Let's see if we remember to do that. That's really funny. So we are kind of playing off kind of culture from last week a bit, you know, where we talked about HR and a topic that I didn't really know about until, I don't know, about midway through my career so far. Maybe about 10 years ago, it really came up in a big way where I was working. But it's the idea between an individual contributor versus a leader within the company. And why we're bringing this up is, or why we're talking about it, is that last week we talked about retention a little bit and how, you know, HR and the culture of an organization, hiring, et cetera, really plays a role in retention. And one of the biggest reasons that companies lose great employees is that they don't have a track for them for improvement or promotion within the company. And that's usually the case, or it's usually because in many organizations, the only way to progress is to become a manager or a leader within that company and have reports of some type and a team that you manage. And the truth is, not everybody is up for that. And so we're going to explore this topic a bit today. Brigitte, how has this kind of come into your life? How have you experienced this?
I love this topic because I feel like, especially growing up and as you enter workforce, there is this almost like society pressure that you are supposed to want to move up the ranks and progress into these like higher roles and maybe get into management and whatnot, right? And almost that like if you don't want to do that, there's this look of like, well, why? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why don't you want to do that? And there are people that thrive and are so good in their roles that pushing them into this actually could make them leave because they don't want it. They're not natural,
totally
born leaders. And so I love this topic, because I feel like there's a weird stigma around that in some regards, maybe less so in small business world. But I know me as a business owner, I'm very aware of it. And I'm still trying to navigate, like, where do you find the limit of what your employee actually does want? And is it through testing or letting them try things or, you know, encouraging them to maybe not do things that they don't want to do, but giving them opportunity to maybe learn more of the leadership and then being able to step back and say, I really don't like that. Can I go back to maybe what I was doing?
Yeah.
So,
you know, that's funny that you say that. I have a colleague where that actually happened. They have what I must assume is a great culture and organization where he was put into a leadership role. And after a few months of doing it, was just really stressed, not happy, you know, didn't enjoy it, and asked to go back to previous role. And the organization was like, yeah, sure, let's do it, you know, done. And they're less stressed. They enjoy what they do again, and they're loving it. They're loving work and really putting in the time and you know, everything, you know, just the way it was before. And there's no animosity whatsoever. And it's awesome to hear, because I think you're right. There is that stigma. And, you know, I've definitely felt it when I first started my career, which was, you know, how do I get a promotion? Oh, you got to become a manager or whatever. It's like, how do I earn more or whatever? Oh, you gotta get it on a team, or you're going to want to go for this VP, or you're going to want to go for this team lead position or something. And, you know, you're right. I don't think everybody's made out for it. And, you know, when that's the only option, it makes someone feel like they're not valued, you know, like they're stuck, I think is kind of the piece that I think about on that topic, or on that thought of, you know, when a company doesn't have a way to progress. other than going into a team management position.
And I think that is a downfall, and I don't know if it's because it's hard to identify other ways to progress without getting there. I know that there is, but I think natural thought is you progress up to a management role, right?
Yeah.
I am curious when you mentioned the friend that you have that, or a colleague that they were in that position. They tried it, they didn't like it. Was their culture already set for that kind of thing? Like
yes.
See, that is huge.
Yeah, hands down. It hands down had to be, because there was nobody skipped a beat. It was like, from the story that I was told, it was like the moment that my friend had said that they wanted to change back, the change happened within like a week, and everything was pretty much just humming still and everything. So they already had that mechanism and had done it before, is the only thing I could think of, and everything. And it's absolutely wonderful. Because, the crazy thing is like, I think about who tends to get the promotion. It's that person who's the alpha. Well, maybe not alpha, but like, they're really good at their job. Alpha is not the right word. I say alpha in the sense of like, they're productive. Okay? It's the person who's productive, who's constantly producing a ton of really good stuff. They may have never showed any inkling of wanting to lead a group of people, but because they're really good at what they do, they tend to be targeted for promotion into a leadership role. And what's interesting is that just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're good at leading others at that thing. And you hinted to this, and it's like, not everybody has those leadership skills baked in. And so when you take somebody who's really good at what they do and put them into a role where they may not have those skills, and you've definitely not trained them on those skills, you have now not only created a situation where there may be friction and less productivity, you've lost the productivity of that person in the role they were in before. Because the moment you put them in a leadership position, and we talked about this last week, you're now focused on culture, on team dynamics, you're doing, one-to-ones, your time is spent elsewhere, not producing. And so like, you lose that. And it's always interesting when companies that don't have a handle on this, organizations don't have a handle on this, do this. They shoot themselves in the foot twice, So it's a funny piece in that way. And I think it's a really easy solution that may not be easy to implement, but it's a simple solution to what has to happen. And it's really, a company, I think, has to think about, what is my individual contributor track? What does it look like to progress within the company as an individual contributor, never taking on a management role? And what does it look like if somebody wants to switch from individual contributor to a leadership track? And what does that progression look like? And I think once a company, plots those two things out, it becomes easier to retain. It becomes easier to tell individual contributors when they come forward of like, hey, I want to lead. I want to get a promotion. I want to move down this route. It becomes easier to be like, oh, here are the things you need. And then either we have them in place, or we point you in a direction to go get those skills, maybe even pay for training or other things before putting you into that kind of a position or a role. And then for those people that don't want the leadership position, you still reward them for their productivity, for their longevity and loyalty within the company. Like, that's the key piece. Yeah, I see you like shaking your hand at me and everything. And this is what you were talking before. You were talking about, the retention and keeping people and everything. So I just think that's the solution, is you have to think about both of those. And I think the piece you think about first is the individual contributor side. You got to think about that one first, especially for smaller companies, because there's fewer opportunities for advancement into a leadership management role. If you're under a few million, there are very few leadership management positions. So how do we reward and support individual contributors and what they do to help them feel like they're valued?
Yes, I love that you said that, because too often I think compensation or bonuses or benefits are tied to that progression up, and business owners are losing the opportunity to maintain those stellar players. And like, I think identifying what you were saying, like that individual track, if you have it identified of these are the things you need to do, this is what warrants their bonuses or a higher compensation or whatever that is, everybody across the company should be eligible for that not just by going into leadership. So I love that you mentioned focusing on the individual track first, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I think it's as easy as like, I'm just thinking like an IT company, because that's my past experience is like you'd have like an IT tech, and then you can have, the next level up is like senior IT tech, and then you can have, a level above that of some kind, and you could even have like level 1, level 2, like whatever those promotions are, some of that is, some of it is just for show, etc. But with it would come, added compensation. But it only happens by showing, that you put in the time, you have the experience and the output to deserve those increases. Because look, if I've got somebody who's been on my team, whether it be a cleaner, for a home residential, cleaning company, or an IT tech, or even if it's a stalker at a store. But if they've been with me for 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, they know our system inside and out. They are super efficient. They don't have to go look up answers. They're not asking other people for help at that point anymore.
You would hope.
I mean, one would hope, right? I mean, that's the point, and they're probably getting a lot more done in less time because of the experience and the shortcuts they've learned along the way. When I say shortcut, I mean the right and simple, easy, the actual process way to do it without fumbling. They know the way to do it, and to do it right the first time. They're saving me money. I don't have to redo the work. I don't have to retrain them or continue to train them. I don't have to hold their hand anywhere. So my time can be spent developing other people. So they're getting me more money, or output revenue. I mean, that's what it's all about. They are earning me more revenue without the cost of supporting them. They deserve to be paid. There's no cost that goes into them. They should be paid more, just hands down. I think that's how it should be.
And I think that comes down to identifying those. I mean, KPIs is a trigger word or like a buzzword, but it is like, if you are tracking that person is making you money, then they should be compensated for that. I don't believe that everybody, because of longevity, deserves a raise. I think it's
agreed.
based on performance. What I am curious about, and you kind of were talking about this with, people getting promoted into roles that they don't necessarily want to be in just because they're good at their job. During our last podcast, we were talking about kind of the one-on-one check-ins. And I guess I'm always shocked how a manager or a business owner wouldn't know that somebody doesn't want a manager role. Like, isn't that something that's part of like one-on-one dialogue? Like, where do you want you that is part of our, like, we talk about that with our team members. Do you want to do something like that? But we also communicate that it isn't an expectation either.
Well, you have a good place with a good culture. I have another story. I have I'm gonna let's just say another colleague. Okay, if I go any more specific than that, I think somebody could go search my field and figure this one out. But they work for a insurance company, and they're in their actuarial sciences, et cetera. So they're behind the scenes. They're putting together, they're doing risk assessment. Not even like risk assessment. They're doing like the algorithm that the risk assessors are going to use and everything. So they're like true math head, et cetera. They have been promoted and changed positions multiple times without being told. And no, exactly. And like been put in charge of a group, and then because they never wanted it, they constantly complain and talk to their manager or leader, ahead of them, like, hey, I didn't ask for this. I don't know why I'm here. Like, I can't, like, I don't want to do this. This isn't me, and so their departments had like restructured multiple times. I mean, think about the costs of having to do that. So, I mean, you have a great culture where you're actually actively talking with people and asking them, is this something you're interested in? Whereas where this colleague of mine works, they didn't do that. They were just like, hey, you're now going to be this. And I was like, that's crazy, because this person had always communicated to me that they just want to be a contributor. Like they don't have any desire for management at the moment. And it was really interesting hearing that story and how, I mean, super stressed. They had like extra meetings. They had to deal with like I've said this before, politics and, people being like snide, thinking that this person isn't deserving of it because of longevity or other things. Like, just things got toxic because there was no communication internally. It's crazy. Yeah.
That is like astounding to me. What a quick way to completely disrupt operations, right? Like you have somebody somewhere that they don't really want to be. You've taken them out of where they're really good at. And now you're trying to get them to lead another team to either productivity or, to a mission or through a project that they don't want to be leading. Like, holy cow. I'm amazed by that, actually. Yeah.
Right? Isn't that absolutely crazy?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So yeah, taking that time to think about the tracks is one way to definitely help retention. I mean, on top of that, it provides really clear steps that a team member would need to do to reach that next level. And you're right, it's not just longevity. It definitely must be KPI, hands down. Because if you're just there for 5 years, but you're not adding increased value over 5 years, there's no reason you deserve, a promotion. But if you are providing increased value, aka revenue, reduction of cost, which in the end is more profit for the owner, et cetera, then yeah, a raise is warranted. And the other thing is just because people reach those KPIs, that also doesn't mean they're deserving of a reward. There's other cultural elements at play. So when we say KPIs, that actually does include cultural value elements as well, like your company value. So just because they hit KPIs, but if they're not upholding the values perfectly, then that's another piece that has to hit on, because that leads to whole other things we've talked about before. Yeah.
I feel like this should be a topic that is probably talked about more frequently. I think it's a missed arena personally of just expectations that, like I said, I think it's a socially and culture type thing, right? That everybody wants to move up the ladder. And I definitely see that not everybody wants to be in those kinds of roles. And I think we should be honoring our employees and our team members right where they're at and encouraging them where we can and supporting them with what they do aspire to maybe achieve. And I think it all comes down to that active listening and building that trust.
Yeah, 100%. Because if I can have somebody on my team that's an amazing contributor, and that's just where they want to be, I can rely on that person. I don't have to worry about what the next piece is, or where am I going to find it, or am I going to have the productivity I need to have, et cetera. It's like, no, I can rely on this person. I can give them the support that they need. I don't have to worry about, other pieces at play. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And then if they do ever say they want to potentially explore moving on, I can tell them, okay, here are the things that you need to start exhibiting, or here are the things that you need to do to move into that next track. And it just becomes really clear. And if things don't work out, they can easily just go back, because that's where they were. That position is still theirs. It's not anywhere. So, yeah.
I love it.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we nailed it. I think that's it here too. Yeah. Focus on your individual contributors, leadership tracks, communicate internally so that you understand the actual motivations of people. Do they want to actually get into a management role or not? Or do they want to remain an individual contributor, and reward for reaching certain KPIs as well as company value? Focus on those things and you'll succeed.
Great summary.
There we go. The TLDR. Just fast forward to the last 45 seconds. You have the whole episode. We won't put that in the show notes. So look, school's almost here. Like we're near the end of August. Looking forward to anything?
Not necessarily. My kiddos have been doing kind of school all through summer. So I had my daughter doing a science class so she could get into the same science that my son will be in, so that I only have to teach it once. Because my oldest, obviously, I got my middle now to the bump up. So our kids are homeschooled, for those that haven't heard that or caught that in our previous episodes. So I am a math person, so science is not my favorite subject. So the less I have to do of science, the better. So yeah.
Gotcha. They looking forward to any sports coming up or doing anything like that?
Yeah, we've got golf, we've got volleyball, and we've got soccer. So.
Oh, that is oh man, you're going to 3 different places every day. That's insane. That is so much. I do not envy that. That's nuts. Well, good luck. Good luck ferrying everyone around. We're hoping to get a couple more final beach days in, but we don't have kids, so we're going to go even after they go back to school. And you know what? Middle of the week, those beaches are empty. So, done. We're going to do that. And I've got a show that I think I've mentioned that I produced, and we're like so close, probably another month, and we'll put it on stage. And I'm hoping it's a big hit. Really looking forward to it. So that's kind of my my horizon, where I'm focusing. Personal things really are kind of the exciting things going on right now. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking
So,
forward to hearing about the show, or when it's gonna, be launched and ready. We'd love to come.
Yeah,
check
October.
It out.
It'll be in October. It's going to hit in October. So
Okay.
I'm really excited for it. Yeah, so be ready for it. I'll give it details, and I'm sure we'll share it on the podcast when I have an actual date for it, but it's going to be in October. Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for joining in for another week of What the Biz. We'd love your review. So hit up Apple, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen. It tells the AI computer bits and byte overlords to show us to others. So really, really helpful. Really appreciate that. And got questions or comments, you can find us, all the usual places on social, as well as whatthebiz.com. And as I always say, we will see you next week.